In this video today, I have a second installment of Soften Your Center. I finished my first video and thought, oh my gosh, I have so much more to share with you. So if you haven't watched that first video, look in the description box. It'll link you there. Head there first, do the part 1 first, and then come back to this video for part 2. It's all about finding ease through the center, because if you've got a cranky low back, or you're having trouble sort of reaching and bending and moving all sorts of ways in your torso, then this video is for you. Stick around. Hello and welcome back to Real News for Real Life. My name is Lisa and I am here to help you move better so that you can move much more in your day-to-day life. And in today is our second installment of Soften Your Center. This whole beautiful area of our body that made up of our rib cage and our pelvis and all the way down our spine. Right, Harrison? Harrison's still here. Quick little glance at his rib cage, pelvis, and spine. That whole center area is all what we're working on today. So let us begin with finding our equipment. So we need a rolled towel like we did in part 1, or if you had the foam mat, this would be another thing to use. So we're heading back to that side lying position. Again, I will use this foam pad simply because it has a nice contrast color and you can see exactly where I'm putting it in relationship to my shirt and the floor. So I'll come to bring it right at the very top of my hip bone here on the bottom leg. And I'm going to send myself down onto my shoulder. And I might catch my hand underneath my head, or maybe if I was thinking it through, I would have had a pillow to support my head, but that's okay. My arm will work just fine. This time, I'd like you to take your top hand and just place it on the very top of your hip. So you'll feel sort of a roundness of the outside of our hip and then the bony part here as well. So just let that hand rest there for a moment to see if you can find it. Now, again, this position can be a position of sensation, particularly the side of the body that's pressing into the foam or the rolled towel or rolled foam felt pad here. So take a pause, hold that there, and just a little check here so that you can settle in. What you might want to imagine is that your body is starting to form a rainbow. So the arc is right in the middle, in the center where that rolled towel is or that foam felt is. The feet are one end of the rainbow, maybe where the pot of gold is. And then the other arc on the other side is up by the hand. So if you are a visual person, you might want to visualize this shape as a rainbow. All right, from here, our rainbow is going to begin to shift. So with the hand here on the top of the hip, I want you to I would like you to drop that hip down. So gently, there's the word I want, gently drop the hip away from the torso. So the hand is going to move ever so slightly towards the feet. Now the hand's not doing the work. It is the pelvis that is tracking downward. So the top hip is going down, and guess what? The bottom hip is going up. So you might feel that sort of counterbalance occurring, but I would like you to draw the top hip down. The bottom hip is going to do what it's going to do. Our pelvis is a system of two sides. So as one drops down, the other one lifts up. But again, focus on the hip that is under the hand and we'll slowly draw that part down. Now, really stay stable and quiet through the upper body, through the legs. It's almost like the top of your rainbow is just shifting over to the side. So instead of it being a perfect arc, you might even see like there's a bit of a blip up. We're adding that little blip by dropping that hip down and then coming back up. So that perfect symmetrical rainbow is now shifted to one side as you tip that pelvis down towards the feet. And now let's just hold that position. So see if you can have that gentle pressure, the bottom hip coming up towards the pad or the rolled towel. The other hand is coming down. You can feel that action down. And it's not a huge movement, so don't feel like you're not moving that much. It's probably true that you're not moving that much. All right, now center those pelvis bones, one on top of the other. Again, come back to that nice arc of our rainbow. It's all balanced out. Okay, take your time to get up. You might use the top arm to press gently up. The bottom arm will lift, catching the forearm here underneath you. And then we'll remove the pad. Let's hit that reset button and have a little lay down. Have a little lay down and just see how that feels. Legs can be straight or bent, I suppose. Just see if you can check in and see how things feel. You may have a greater awareness to the side that had that foam or felt pad wrapped up or the towel rolled up. You might feel a bit more on that side or maybe on the other, right? Just notice in your own body what's showing up. Alrighty, let's head back up towards our next side lying position. So we'll take the towel or the felt pad here and we'll roll it all up nice and snug, and we'll send ourselves over to make our rainbow. So felt pad right up to that hip. Take your time going down. We will not rush this action simply because it can be quite a strong stretch for people. So I don't want you to have too much sensation out of the hop. So slowly lower yourself, catch your head, and then top hand can come to the side of the pelvis. Okay, find your grounding here. You're laying right on your side. And then we'll start to send the pelvis down towards our feet. And we'll slowly let ourselves come back up. So allowing this action to happen, generated underneath our hand, we're shifting the arc of the rainbow now to the other direction and changing the pitch so it's not an equal balanced rainbow, if such thing exists. Feel the other hip pressing into your towel or your foam rolled up felt pad. And then the next time your hand is down, let it stay down. Let it stay down for a second. Gently holding that hip, pressing down. And breathing into the space on your side body. And then let that hip come back up. We'll equalize. The pitch is balanced now in our rainbow. We'll let those hips settle for a sec before we make our transition out again. So you can use the top hand to press you up. Bottom hand comes underneath. We'll remove the felt pad or the towel. We'll swing around and have a lay down again and see how things are feeling on the back, on the side, and then the front of your center. Notice what begins to show up. Acknowledging what's present and really becoming aware of your whole entire center of being. It's a vital part of our body with so many vital organs. All right, from here, we're going to come up onto our hands and knees. So bring yourself up to a kneeling position. If you need an extra cushion under the knees, you're welcome to double up your mat Or if you have a blanket nearby, you could always place that underneath the knees. We will not be using our props. So in theory, I could kneel on here if I needed that extra support. Some of us need it actually further down by the ankles. So again, you do you, take care of yourself to find some ease in this hands and knees position. All right, from here, keep some softness through the elbows as your wrists are underneath your shoulders. Knees are underneath your hips. Just take a little pause here, just to make sure those places are connected to the floor. Same with the top of the feet. Then we're going to take our one hand and bring some weight into it. So the other hand's going to come off the ground. And we're going to tuck it in underneath the armpit. So you don't have to grab your armpit, but just gently settle it here so it's connected. And then in this position, we will begin to open up away from that straight arm. So we'll begin to rotate towards the bent elbow side. So it may not be a very big movement as we rotate. So almost like you're opening yourself up and then slowly rotating in. And I'd encourage you actually to take the roll even a little further. You can roll underneath the armpit of the straight arm. So open up and away, lower body, pelvis are heavy, and then we'll rotate back in, taking yourself through this range, whatever range it is available to you. Now, if you remember in part 1 video, we had our hands underneath our chins when we were twisting, always to make sure that we're not using the head. And I just realized in my own body, I think I just dropped my head on that last one. So I'm going to try really hard to keep my head in line with my spine, even though my fingertips aren't there to tell me. I can imagine that imaginary line down my center. Okay, that's enough from that side. Go ahead, take a little pause. What you might want to do is just sit back on your heels for a second, just shake out those wrists because that takes a bit of a toll. Maybe the fingers too. All right, let's head back onto our hands and knees. This time, find the weight in the other hand because we're going to switch sides. So take the hand that was your stationary hand before and tuck it into the armpit, finding our new position. Again, from here, we're opening up and away, drawing the elbow up, and then tucking ourselves under and through that armpit action. So legs are heavy, pelvis is still, rib cage is moving around the midline of our body. Watching that chin does not take us for a ride. Use the belly to move you here. And I am guilty as charged. My head just loves to be a part of this one. So I'm going to try really hard to think about my chin staying right down the midline of my body. Small movement. We are moving through the shoulder joint, but also moving through what is called our thoracic spine. And I'll show you in Harrison in just a second. Good. And we'll come to our final one. Release. You can sit up and release those wrists as I bring Harrison in for view. With that straight arm out, we are rotating around that shoulder joint, but also through our thoracic spine here, these upper back vertebrae, which tend to be not as mobile as our lower back. So you may, again, not have much movement in there, but we still want to get a little bit of rotation through there because it's part of the upper quadrant of our center. So although you might think of center as belly, this whole canister of our center of our body is really truly what we're all working through. So thank you, Harrison. That was our second last exercise. All righty. So We've sent him back there. We'll head back down onto our backs for our little check-in. See how that center is feeling. What do I notice now? Maybe a little bit more sensation up through the shoulders and more maybe movement or spaciousness through this whole quadrant of our body. Now, it's funny how this area can be quite tight, and then its influence on the rest of the center all the way down. You might find that you have a little bit more ease now through the lower quadrants of your center. All right, our last movement of the day, we will grab our rolled up felt pad or towel. So find the roll again. We'll stay here on our back and bend our knees and place our feet on the ground. I'm going to lift my hips up so that I can place my rolled towel or my rolled felt pad under my low back and let my arms just relax to the side. So for some of us, this might feel like the weight is coming down towards our head and our neck. So really try to connect to your feet to make sure that they are holding you there. And then this might actually be nice enough for you. Like you might be like, okay, I'm just going to stay here. Totally fine. Let the weight of the pelvis drop into the felt pad or the rolled towel. And bonus here, if you'd like, we can start to move the pelvis over top of those leg bones. And you're going to say, what? So what we're going to do is drop the pelvis into the felt pad. So lifting up and kind of tucking in. And then we're going to draw the tailbone down and lift the low back off of the felt pad. So as you can maybe imagine, this is a pelvic tilt, if you so call it that. So we'll rotate forward onto the legs of the bones here, forward, and then we'll tip back, tucking our bums in a little bit. Roll through that action. Now, really important, again, I'm really harping on the head, but the head loves to take over. So notice as you tip through the pelvis forward and back, is the head like jutting up and down? Like, are you moving like this? That's really not what I'm looking for this movement. So see if you can keep the movement controlled down by the pelvis. The rib cage is quiet. The neck and the head should be quiet. You can maybe just gently touch your head just to be sure. Make sure. I have a little movement, but not a ton of movement. Notice if the two sides are working together. Both sides moving. And that's enough. Alrighty. Take that felt pad out from underneath you. Let the back come to the floor. You straighten those legs. Let's just see how you land here now again in your reset position. Take a nice deep breath in and fill up the whole space of your center. Big breath in. And release and let it go all out. Let's do that one more time. Big breath in. And let it all out. Fantastic job, everybody. Another 3 exercises to set into your rotation to help soften through your center. So the more mobility we have in our center, the more space we have here, the better it is obviously for our health and our organs that we are housed in here, but particularly related to your pain and limiting that pain to a point that it's not going to interfere with your day-to-day life. Because who wants to be stopped when you're like, oh, I can't move, or oh, I'm having trouble going that way. So it's really important that we take care of this whole 360-degree center of our body. So again, this is real moves for real life. This is all real. This is all about your real life. And I am Lisa, and I am here to support you in your physical activity behaviors. And truly, I want you to move better so that you can move more often. Thank you so much for joining me for part 2. Don't forget part 1. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it first, and then come back to this part 2. Have a great time exploring these movements on your mat, in your workouts, in your day-to-day life, so that you can truly soften through your center. Take care. Bye-bye. Maybe you're finding that you're just not moving well through the center of your body, just like this.